Yeah, g'day, you gronks. Welcome back to another episode of the Moin Sculptors. I'm your host, Carl, and this is my co-host, Liam, better known as Comedian MTG. Much like the Great Australian Outback, there's a lot of exploring to do with this new set, Liam. Welcome and g'day. How you going? Yeah, g'day, Carl. New set's more exciting than when Nan gets out the good china at Chrissy, because you know there's going to be a feast coming. And you know we're going to get some sweet new toys. I'm very excited to talk about Bloomborough today, but first, we need to talk about what's on every dog's mind. Blimey scooters. Yeah, there's something going on with those weak dogs using blimey scooters. Back in my day, a pair of TNs was all the essays needed to get around. I can't even walk the roos of a morning without having to avoid tripping over. Yeah, give those scooters a hopper. It's a unique type of weak dog, leaving them around Knifey Street or Fair Dinkum Avenue where the foot traffic's so high. Ken oath, mate. Ken oath. But Carla, hold me flippin' beer. The viewers aren't here to hear us talk about the Scooty Boys, because now we've actually branched out. And you can head over to our second podcast, the Blimey Sculptors, which you can hear all of the extended scooter lore, mischief, and all of the adventures around that. Ken oath, mate. Ken oath. Top bloke. Right. Bloomborough. Mate, first up, I got to call it out as I see it. This might be a bit of a Bondi Beach in January take here, but I'm pretty disappointed about the lack of diversity in wildlife. There's no dingoes, no bilbies, no kookaburras, roos or emus. The blokes and the Sheilas at Watsy, mate, they're a bunch of galahs if you ask me. Let's have a look at our first card. And apologies to our audience in the Northern Hemo.
Ever since my kids, inviting guests over to play hasn't felt the same. You never want your children sneaking into the same bed your wife was getting her face painted by you and your Iranian neighbor Amir. Stays. Plenty of bedrooms, plenty of beds, plenty of well-lit rooms for filming, private piss play, bukkake beach houses. Stays. Leave the kids at home.
This one's pretty good, eh? It's a 2-mana Raki D commander with Wardo pay 2 lifey, and it's a 3-2, which is, as every Aussie knows, the same number of testes and dongs as a sword fight between Lance Armstrong and Stephen Bradbury, the 2 greatest athletes alive today. R.I.P. Warnie. Yeah, I don't know, sports. Good one, mate. Yeah. I'm just joking. You can't be an Aussie and not know sports. I was only a wee sprog when I learned the St Kilda club anthem. St Kilda is a team that I think is kind of like the Moneyball team of the AFL. I agree, mate, but you're halfway through this commander. We shouldn't be talking about national Aussie sports like AFL or the federal government leadership spill when we have such a high percentage of Northern Hemo viewers. Okay, yeah, so Gevo also says, other creatures enter with a counter for each opponent who lost life this turn. And whenever you cast the Lizard spell, Gev deals 1 damage to target opponent. So Carl, the first thing I've been asking myself when reviewing a new commander is, how many Time Twisters could I win with this commander? Can I even earn a dual land with it? I mean, probably, but will it be hard? Gev is pretty good. You can tell that by the card. Yeah, I was chatting with you and our good friend Ibis in our group chat about this card. It's kind of cool, eh? We don't have a lot of commanders that can do the ping and ding as well as this. And to be honest, I've always wanted to build a competitive Lizard tribal deck, which I'd call everyone in the comments section's mother. My biggest criticism about this card, though, is that we can't really play cool cards like this in Tivit. Yeah, like, I know what you mean, but I'm not even sure Tivit wants this, eh? It's like Gev is another tool that would have been great, helped us execute our plan A of not casting Tivit. I'll say, though, there isn't much synergy with Time Thief, but like, I understand what you're saying for sure, but I think there's just no way, given the lack of synergy and because it's not in the right colours, it's just not where Tivit wants to be, you know? Yeah, righto, mate. Moving on. Kitsa. It's a 2-mana blue legend with Vigi and Prowo. It's got 2 activated abilities. And mate, this one is going to be looting more than a crackhead the day before Centrelink payments come out. And for our Northern Hemo mates, that's welfare. It's also got a copy ability you can use, but only once you've given it a good slap around. You've got to pump up Kitsa, a bit like a Mount Isa FIFO worker getting straight off of their shift, heading straight on the Rumbos. Yeah, true, eh? This card is a ripper. I'm not sure if I like it more in the 99 or in the Tradies Kamozo, but I know this card's at least half a Time Twist as good. Now, next up is Glab, Calamity's Augur. Now, I was thinking we could say absolutely nothing about this hoppy little bloke other than make some vague comparisons to another horny fella. Yeah, at first glance, I'd be inclined to agree with you, eh? Except I did see that there was a local Brizzy pilot that he got to a top 4 with it. It was a small one, it was an online one, yeah.
Struth.
There's a few things you see. Glub gets access to a bunch of free spells, mostly interaction that he can cast off the top of the library. You got Force of Will, Mindbreak Trap, Deadly Rollick, Snuff Out, Submerge, Subtlety, Foil, Gush. And on top of that, there are a bunch of amazing spells that you can cast off the top, which also speeds up all of your top of library tutors. They basically become demonic tutors at that point. And there's some really good clones you can cast as well. You got Mockingbird, which is the new one. Stunt Double is one that gets overlooked a lot, but it's got flash, so it's very cool to just have it sitting on top of your library. Then you got Phyrexian Metamorph, which is, good old faithful. But you can also cast any of the X spells off the top of your library, as long as the mana value is 4 or greater. So, Finale for 2, or Accord for 1. Grab a Fleshy Clone, snag a Dockside. Even better with the Cord at instant speed, obviously. So we've got access to Invasion of Ikoria for this one, Cord, Finale, and another X spell is Nuclear Fallout, which I think is really flexible when you can cast it off the top of your library. Obviously in Dimir colors, we can use the classic Thoracle Consult, but there are 2 additional paths to victory that are exceptional with Glab. So with Necropotence, because we can look at the top card of our library at any time, and each activated ability of Necro is an individual action, we actually get to see the card that goes into the pile, and we can even use it to move cards off the top into exile, find our land drop to play for the turn, or surveil cards into the graveyard, filter them that way too. The other really cool thing, it's a bit out of fashion, you might say, is Doomsday. A bit like me mum's hairstyle. It's a 1-card win con with Glab. I'll show you the pile at its fastest and its weakest, so all you need is Glab out and untapped without Summoning Sickness. And you just need your 2 islands in play, and the ability to cast Doomsday. So that's pretty easy to do, if you've got 2 islands and Doomsday in your opener, or 2 lands that you can get islands with in your opener, you can cast Glab, turn 2, turn 3, turn 4 you cast your Doomsday, you can win, you don't need any other cards. We make a pile out of Gush, Pact of Negation, Reanimate, Thassa's Oracle, and Foil. We cast Gush using Glab off the top of our library, returning 2 islands to hand. We can draw the Pact and the Reanimate. We can then activate Glab to surveil Thoracle into the graveyard and play our land back again as land for turn and cast Reanimate. Because we have Foil as the only card in our library, which can be cast for free because it costs 4 mana, by discarding the 2 islands we just returned to our hand from Gush. The piles get stronger and more protected with more resources. If you have a spare blue card in hand, you can just swap the Pact for a Force of Will, and that way you can protect the Gush when you cast that as well. If you have access to 5 mana at the start of your turn, you can just ditch the Reanimate and hard cast the Thoracle, chucking an extra piece of interaction in its place, or you could even consider a backup plan of Meme Bet. So what you're saying is, this still has the same problems as Thoracle Consult does, but is stronger and faster than a typical Doomsday pile once you've gotten to the point where Doomsday is resolved and you're vulnerable to losing the interaction. Yeah, and we don't have to play bad cards like Edge Yourself in Autumn or Street Wraith. That's pretty good, eh? To be honest, it's also cracked as hell with Valley Stormcaller and Legolas's quick reflexes. Glab is a frog and he has Death Touch, so every non-creature with Surveil will shoot for lethal an opponent's creature, as well as putting fuel in the graveyard, because you get to Surveil each time. This commander's got a lot of play to it. He's also an ISO Rev outlet, so because you're surveilling 2, you can just surveil your whole deck into your graveyard, except you can keep a Jace Wielder of Mysteries on the top of your library each time. It happens to be a 4-drop, so you can cast it off the top of your library. Folks, that is all the commanders we are looking at today for Bloomborough, but wow, you've really opened my eyes, Liam. I love you. I know.